Hello, and welcome, folks, to another edition of Friday Night LAIKA. We're here today. We're going to work on a little something something together with Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and also Through the Looking Glass, the sequel. So I've got a brain over here trained on both of those called Alice's Adventures. It's ready to go. I have it in here somewhere. Where is it? And it's visible for everybody. So this is a public brain. So if you have a LAIKA account, you can head on in there and you can have a look at this brain and work with it yourself if you would like. Absolutely fine. Okay, so I am just going to take a moment to fix my display because he's being a little bit weird, like he sometimes does. But hopefully it'll be okay. Bring us back. Okay, now we're back. Aha! Hello! Hello, Catherine. Welcome to you also. So before we get going with a little bit of Alice in Wonderland, I wanted to just quickly note two things. So this is like now our kind of like notice board for the week where we talk about the things that are coming up over the next while. So firstly, next Thursday, if you are interested in learning anything about experimental writing, I have the first of three sessions we're going to do. It's a 3-session series with Interintellect called the Creative Toolbox. And the first one is going to be about pen and paper experimental writing techniques. The second one's going to be about procedurally generating writing techniques, both in mechanical and digital forms. And the third one is going to be about artificial intelligence writing techniques. So it's a kind of a 3-part series, one in January, one in February, one in March. You can come for one, you can come for all, you can come for none, whatever you like, but you can sign up there at Interintellect, and I hope I will see some of you there. And the other thing is that we're going to be running live user testing workshops in February, both on February 2nd and also on February 16th. In the IT University in Copenhagen. So we're going to have snacks, we're going to have fun, we're going to have a little workshop, we're going to do some creative stuff together. I'm going to see how you guys get on with LAIKA, and then we're going to go out for some drinks at a beautiful rooftop bar just nearby. So that is the idea. Yeah, and a zine. Yes, thanks, Catherine, for mentioning that part. That is indeed the thing that we're planning on doing. As soon as the 3 workshops are done, everybody who participates gets to add in something that they would like to try. Okay, so hopefully, I really lost the I've really lost my screen here. So I'm just gonna see if I can get it back one more time. Usually it works. Sometimes he's just a little bit fiddly, and I'm not really sure why he sometimes decides to be so fiddly. But maybe now he works. Let's see. Okay, it looks like it's working for the moment, so let's just hope and pray and give it a go. Yes, flights. Catherine, you are supposed to be here at some point soon, so I'm very excited to see you when you do get here. Okay, so let's go into a little bit of full screen mode here so we can actually see what we're up to. Okay, Alice's Adventures, here we go. So this is the books that were written by Lewis Carroll in the 1800s, and they were basically the first set of books for children that kind of moved from a kind of didactic set of like trying to teach children about good morals and how to be good into a kind of place where it's like delight and joy and interest and like a fantasy land where the idea was more to entertain than to teach. So I loved these books when I was young, absolutely loved them. And there's some real interesting things that make it good for us and for our purposes for working with LAIKA. So first off, the tale, like, it plays a lot with logic, okay? So like a lot of things happen inside of the books that are just completely impossible and not connecting to the laws of physics at all. So that's great because, as you know, LAIKA creates all kinds of strange situations that don't connect to reality at all as well. So we're going to see that happening in real time. And it's also one of the first instances of literary nonsense. That's the kind of genre that it connects into. And literary nonsense is what we're all about here at LAIKA Towers. So we're going to have a look at that. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention to bring out about this particular shape of book and what we're working with is that Alice in the books is always looking for rules. You know, there's so many weird rules in the world, and she's always trying to understand what are the rules of this space and how I'm supposed to interact or operate inside the space. So we're also going to look for rules in the space that we create and see what we get out of that. So we were going to start out with a line. Catherine, would you like to give us a line to kick us off? I didn't prepare any like shapes or structures. I tried to get us on the right track last week with the Hardy Boys, but as you know, that just went off the rails very, very quickly. So today I didn't even think of the first opening prompt sentence to get us in. But what I'm thinking is that basically what we want to do here is have Alice in a new adventure. So Alice does something, she enters a new adventure in Wonderland, and we just have a small space where there's a little adventure with Alice that takes a little bit of time. Okay, so you have something. Okay, wonderful. Let's start with that. Alice opened the chest and found something very strange. Okay, let's see. Oh, a tiny golden key. Okay, a key that opens all the locks in the house. Or it was made entirely of glass. Okay, then she turned into a young lady in the glass. Or plates and dishes with great dismay. Okay, well actually these are three really interesting and very different branches that we can go down. So a tiny golden key that opens every door in the house. I like that because I like the idea of going into the house and finding a door, a kind of Bluebeard style door that's never been opened before. Made of glass is interesting, perhaps not as interesting as the other two. And then plates and dishes is interesting because it's not interesting, right? It's like, why were these things hidden away in the chest? I don't want to wash more dishes, yeah. But I guess if we're going to think of like what's going to lead us to the most interesting thing happening, it's probably going to be the golden key. So let's go back to the golden key. So Alice opened the chest and found something very strange. In it was a tiny golden key. And then, as you know, like when I work with LAIKA, I don't take whatever is given to me as just like that's how it is and that's how it has to be. There's always going to be weird little grammatical situations and strange things that don't work out well. So I'm just going to change them and make it work. So I didn't invent the tiny golden key, but I want to make it so that it makes sense. So how could that get there? She asked. How? Let me just say, how did that get there? Might make more sense. How did that get there? How did that get there? She asked. And I might also just put in some quotation marks. How did that get there? She asked. She unfolded the lid. Now I really like that, unfolded the lid. It's like this origami type lid. We're already getting into a space where the physics is a little bit off and the space and time is already getting a little bit woozy. So this is great. She unfolded the lid and took out the key. Okay. It was a key that opened all the locks in the house. But why? Now, I don't think but why is a particularly interesting question there, so I'm just going to take it out and we're going to get on to the next part. So Catherine's saying, I thought the same thing. Reminds me of a roll top. I said, yes, a roll top. Or like, I'm sort of for some reason seeing kind of like an origami flower shape that like you press on it almost like in the glass onion or something and it just opens out in a certain way all of a sudden when you give it a go. Okay, so now we have a key. We have a tiny golden key that we found in a chest and it's going to open all the locks in the house. So where is Alice going to go next? Alice thought to herself of all the rooms in the house. There were many of them. From the basement orchard all the way up to the attic sewing parlor. The house contained 57 rooms in all. Origami style world. Okay, an origami style world. Well, if we're going for an origami style world, maybe we should be going for like mathematical numbers that make sense as well. Lewis Carroll was actually a very proficient amateur mathematician also, so that could be something that's useful. Unfortunately, I don't know good mathematical numbers that we can connect here. So let's 57 seems like an interesting number of rooms for a house to have, but not in terms of the amount of ways something could be folded, I suppose. But let's think. We want Alice to go to a room perhaps that she's never been to before. So Alice had explored every single one of these, save all of these. Every single one is a bit weird to say every one but one. Had explored all of these, save one. Yeah, exactly. Catherine is like, hand wavy numbers business looks cool is my vibe here. So Alice had explored all of these save one. Now, what should the one be? Well, actually, maybe let's just see what LAIKA says. I'm too controlling here. I'm too controlling on a Friday afternoon. I gotta let loose a little bit. Gotta let it go. A tiny little room about the size of a tea tray, and the only things inside were a little doll and a little bottle. Well, I'm sold. I mean, I'll look at the other two options, but since we were just talking about origami and Hall of Mirrors and things being bigger than they seem on the outside, yikes, love it. Let's see what the second one is. The Dormouse. That does not sound like a room anyone wants to go into. Another tiny one, the size of a tea tray. Okay, well, I think I want to go for the first one because the first one gives us a bit more info because it gives us things that are inside the room that we can look at. So save one. And I suppose we probably want to put in the name or like where this room is. We kind of want to situate it because she has to get into it before she sees that it's the size of a tea tray and that there's the stuff in the room. So Alice had explored all of these save one. A room with a dusty door on the 3rd floor. She turned the key, the golden key, in the lock and entered. It was a tiny little room, about the size of a tea tray. And the only things inside were a little doll and a little bottle. And then I think what Alice would actually say here is probably, well, I hardly know where to begin. Well, I hardly know where to begin, said Alice. Okay, said Alice. Okay, so I'm just going to see what you're saying, Catherine. I have to look over here with my glasses because it's over on the other screen. Although you do the last line, second one. She was so frightened she wanted to fall flat on her face. Maybe we can use that elsewhere. Yeah, I like that one as well. I don't think she can fall flat on her face in a room the size of a tea tray, but maybe she can do that when she gets back out into the hallway, since now we're in the room. Okay, so we're in here, we're having our adventure. We've got a golden key, turned it in the lock into the dusty door, tiny room by the size of a tea tray, and the only things inside were a little doll and a little bottle. So what do you want to look at, Kat? What do you think is like the thing that we want to examine here between the little doll and the little bottle? I don't know which I'm more partial to. Ooh, now you're talking. Now you are talking, Catherine. That is it. She turned the golden key in the lock and peered inside. It was a tiny little room by the size of a tea tray, and the only things inside were a little doll and a little bottle. Well, I hardly know where to begin, said Alice. But she reached out plucked up the little bottle. Snee sniffed, Snee sniffed. She sniffed it gingerly and then took a sip. Just enough room for one drop inside. Just one drop. That's all there was room for. I'll just say space, since we've been talking a lot about rooms. Space for in the tiny bottle, in the little bottle. He's a little bottle, not a tiny bottle. And and shwoomph. Suddenly, Alice was the same size as the little doll in the room. Okay, great. I love this. Shwoomp is a word we do not use enough at LAIKA Towers. However, I'm upset that it won't let me... there we go. Add to dictionary. There we go. Happy again. Okay, so now Alice is the same size as the little doll in the room. So I guess she's going to walk in and look at the doll. I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm a bit scared of dolls. I'm afraid the doll's going to be malevolent. Things usually turn out to be malevolent when we interact with them in the world of LAIKA, but let's see. She walked on her newly tiny legs into the tea tray room. Stepped up until she was eyeball to glass eyeball with the little doll. Dun dun dun. The doll will be salty. The doll will be something. I think we need to hear from the doll. I think we need to see what happens with the doll. She walked on her newly tiny legs into the tea tray room until she was eyeball to glass eyeball with the little doll. And the little doll spoke. It said, "Sit down, little one. I've brought you something very nice." I don't believe it for a second. "Talk, child. Tell me your name and your business. Do you live alone?" Or, "Beautiful soup, my darling. Soup, beautiful soup." Oh my God. Okay. Catherine, do we go for sit down, the very nice? Do we go for the weird bureaucracy doll? Or do we want to go for beautiful soup, my darling? Soup, beautiful soup. I mean, I think you're going to have to choose, Catherine. I cannot choose. The second one. The second one was, "Talk, child, tell me your name." Okay, but let's remember, we always have this thing, right, where there's a thing that comes up again and again, and I feel like the beautiful soup might be the thing for today. So let's hold the beautiful soup in our minds in case it comes back again. And said, "Talk, child, tell me your name and your business." Alice was much too frightened to say even a single word. So that's enough of that. "Talk, child, tell me your name and your business." Alice was much too frightened to say even a single word. The doll spoke again, this time in a sterner tone. Little bureaucracy doll TM. This is not a conversation, Alice. This is a search and rescue. Okay. Or, "Tell me your name is Okay. I like that because Alice did not say a word. And now the doll is saying, tell me your name is Alice. That is very interesting. Or it wants to talk about seeing the Queen. I don't think I care about the Queen. In general, I don't care about royalty. I don't know. Searching. This is not a conversation, Alice, is pretty good, but I don't think it can compare with tell me your name is Alice right after the doll asked for the name and did not get an answer. It's, yeah, quite creepy. Tell me your name is Alice. This is not a conversation, Alice. Yeah, this is not a conversation, Alice. This soup is beautiful. Tell me your name is Alice, and tell me where are you from? Okay, and this here business is, I don't know, this is a little bit weird. What is your... Okay. What is your business here, said Alice. To sell. To buy. Okay, incredibly creepy, said the doll. Oh, I need to move up a little bit. Okay, to sell, to buy. Okay, scroll down a wee bit. Yes, I have. Thank you, Catherine. Sorry about that. I get too sucked into the story, the crazy story. Okay, I'm really liking this one, actually. I have to say, Alice in Wonderland works well. Because what is this doll buying? What is this doll selling? Oh God, what if the doll selling the little bottle? And they've already sold the little bottle and to Alice. And now they're going to demand the price of the little bottle. You want my beautiful soup? Okay. What is your business here, said Alice. To sell, to buy, said the doll. Oh. Alice inquired. What are you selling? My mother often buys ribbons on market day. The doll's eyes narrowed. And it replied, not ribbons, darling. Soup. Beautiful soup. I take it you have already had a taste? Alice gulped. The taste of the soup was sour in her mouth. She could feel her newly tiny legs tingling. I'm just going to see what LAIKA gives us here. I keep getting too into, this is my problem, is I get so into whatever it is that we're getting back that I get into the control of like, okay, now I want to take it in this direction. And then kind of grasping or holding on to things a little bit too much and not letting the free flow happen. So I'm going to try and, let that go a little bit now. Let it go. And let's get some new bits in, see what LAIKA has to give. Okay. So she wished she hadn't drunk so much of that one single drop. Versus, what am I to do now? Well, that is a really extremely reasonable thought, Alice. Probably the most reasonable and logical thought you've had so far in this story, out of all the things you could be doing. Or the fire. Her head was nearly in reach of the fire and she could hear the little creatures howling in the distance. My God. I mean, dare I say, so many of our stories end in actual literal hell. I don't want this one to go there. But it's hard to deny that that's what this sentence wants us to do. Okay, so I don't think the first one is good, just panting and wishing she hadn't drunk so much. I'm not excited about that. I really like What Am I to Do Now because it does not make sense. Uh, because it does make sense. And I also really like this one, even though there is no fire, because it's very exciting and it's also horrifying. But I think this is the one because because it is a very reasonable thought, and perhaps we can tack from this reasonableness into the next phase. Okay. It is that beautiful, the soup. Um, okay, so let's see. The doll has told Alice that they're selling the soup, which Alice has already drunk all of, and that she's already had a taste. And we know what happened because of the taste. She became very small and she has these tiny little legs. And now she wonders what she's to do. I suppose my thought would be, what is the price of the soup? So I might feign innocence. Alice feigned, actually, what she's feigning is nonchalance, not innocence, because she's not innocent. We all know she drank the soup. So Alice feigned nonchalance. I don't know how to pronounce that word, so I hope you're not laughing at me now. And asked the doll how much the soup cost. And the doll answered, 4 pence a head. Or, oh, thank you, Catherine. I actually don't think I've ever heard anyone say it out loud. I think it's one of those many words that I've only read in a book. Or pigeon, pigeon, who cares for your feelings, little girl? Oh my God, okay. 7 shillings and 9 pence. Okay. 7 shillings and 9 pence is a very reasonable amount of money for one drop of soup out of a tiny bottle, and that turns you into a tiny creature. 4 pence is perhaps even more reasonable, but there's something extremely creepy about 4 pence a head. And then going into this queen and king business again. And then the pigeon. I really like the pigeon. Pigeon, pigeon, who cares for your feelings, little girl? There's something very nice about that line. Pigeon, pigeon, who cares for your feelings, little girl? But I think we're going to have to go with the 7 shillings and 9 pence. And the doll answered eagerly, 7 shillings and 9 pence. I don't know, Alice said, a little timidly. That seems rather dear, don't you think? I mean, in my current state, I could not even carry 7 shillings and 9 pence. As I am now so tiny, so small. How can I pay? The doll. Oh my God. How is Alice going to get out of this tea tray room? Doll picked up the empty little bottle and peered deep into its depths. As dry as a walnut. The Duchess. I wonder, is the doll the Duchess? In the deepest, darkest part of the bottle. Oh my God. Catherine, I think we won't go with this one, but isn't that extremely creepy? I wonder if it's alive, she said. In a minute or two the bottle was empty and the little creature slowly began to move again. What became of the child? Alice muttered to herself. My God, Alice. Okay, the doll picked up, so I think we go for the Duchess, or the deepest, darkest part of the bottle. Absolutely horrifying. So Duchess or the deepest, darkest part of the bottle? Hmm. I think Duchess, because I mean I can change if you're still typing, it's fine, but I think Duchess because we can call the doll Duchess, and that's kind of cool that we have a name for the doll. I never tasted anything so dry, said Alice. It must have been salted. It was, said the Duchess, with ire. It was very nearly as dry as a walnut. That's why the magic worked. Alice frowned and waved one of her newly tiny arms in front of her face. And Duchess, how can I become my regular self again? Yeah, she's really a piece of work, this Alice, tiny Alice. Oh my goodness, and now we have the Queen. Well, we don't have a Queen. I could change that back to the Duchess. Okay, just one moment. I am just going to fix my display again. It keeps on being weird. Just can't hack it. Okay, we're back. So we got the Queen, or the Duchess shook her head. You've had many lessons in magic, she said. That's all. Just think of all the things you could do with a pin. Okay, I'm really into the pin. Or you needn't be so particular. Okay, I'm going for the pin because I think we can do a lot of magic with the pin. The Duchess shook her porcelain head. You've had many lessons in magic, she said. That's all. Just think of the things you could do with a pin. Alice frowned and thought to herself about magic and pins and tiny bottles. She wondered why her choices always led her into these scrapes Then she shrugged as she remembered. Oh, I don't know which one was the second one. Catherine, I don't know, did I pick the right one or the wrong one? I'm sorry. I got so into the pin. I had to go for the pin. Then she shrugged as she remembered what she knew about pins. I want to know what I know about pins. Why you keep drinking from magic bottles? Yeah, exactly. It's like if you take a bunch of twigs, put them into a bottle and leave it to dry, it's quite likely that one will twist itself into a knot at any moment. Now, I'm no magician, but that sounds like a pretty serious magic spell to me. Let's see what the second one is. Oh no! Oh no, I was in the wrong place. I think, what did I do here? This is what I did, okay. So this is what I want to change. There are two kinds of pins, regular and fancy. Plates are a fancy kind of pin. Plates are regular and fancy, you know. Okay, this is good. I'm going to have to just quickly change my screen again. Sorry about this. It is so annoying, I know. One of these days I'm going to get a proper monitor and it's going to be amazing. Okay, plates are regular and fancy, you know. Or the third option, they're made of cardboard after all. Made entirely of cardboard. Okay, that doesn't sound like a pin to me. So I'm kind of between the bunch of twigs that twists itself into a knot at any moment. There's something in there that's really getting me. Or two kinds of pins, regular and fancy. Plates are a fancy kind of pin. I think I want to go for the twigs. The twigs is just, there's something beautiful. As she remembered, and I'm just going to change pins here to magic because that makes a little bit more sense to me. So remembered what she knew about magic. If you take a bunch of twigs, put them into a bottle and leave them to dry, it's quite likely, why are you being weird? It's quite likely that one will twist itself into a knot at any moment. Okay, so could it not be something to make her big again? Yeah, I was just thinking that, Catherine. I was just thinking, if you think about the bottle, she's kind of in a little bottle now, right? Like she's put in and she's been left to dry. We have this dry thing, the walnut, dry as walnut. That's what makes the magic work. Didn't she say that? It was as dry as a walnut. That's why the magic worked. And now when Alice remembers what she knows about magic, she remembers that leaving the twigs to dry makes one twist itself into a knot, and we know the dryness is the thing that makes magic work. So if Alice herself, now that she's down here in this space and she's taken the dry potion, if she twists herself into a knot, then perhaps that's the magic way out. I don't know. I think we'll give that a try. Alice knew what she had to do. She began twisting herself into pretzel-like shapes, bending her newly tiny arms around her newly tiny legs, creating knots with all her limbs. The doll Duchess shrieked, "No, no, you must pay." But Alice continued her, what is the word when you're twisting yourself around? Gyrations. That's even a Lewis Carroll word from the Jabberwocky, you know? Gyre and Gimble in the Wabe. One of my favourite poems. My granddad was often speaking it to me when I was a kid. Okay, so But Alice continued her gyrations until she was a tiny knot the size of a walnut. A tiny nut the size of a walnut. And then the magic happened. I don't know what the magic is. The egg began to speak English. Okay, we don't have an egg. I don't want the egg. Give me something else. The egg began glowing red, and a bright gleam came over Alice's face. Or the white rabbit cried out with a merry laugh. Oh boy, yes, yes, yes. I know the white rabbit has not actually been in the room so far, but I cannot resist my favourite character appearing. Oh, my ears and whiskers, how the game's changed. And with 2 shakes of his floppy ears, he rolled the tiny Alice knot out of the tea tray room. And with 3 shakes of his cotton tail, he unknotted the tiny Alice, and she into her regular self. While his back paw slammed the door closed on the room, the tea tray room. The cries of the Duchess could still be heard. Pay, pay. But they were like squeaks. To the now regularly sized Alice. Okay, and then I think we need the white rabbit to have one last line of wisdom. This is not a conversation. The white rabbit shook his head along with his whiskers. And gave Alice a parting piece of wisdom before he disappeared once more down a metaphysical rabbit hole. He said, poetry, okay. Cats and dogs without having a conversation with them. Okay, I like this one about the poetry. Do you know, I once read in a book there are 4 kinds of poetry. The first is called tragedy, the second is called passion, the third is called uglification, and the fourth is called inventing. Life is the 4th poetry, and you are a master poet. Alice opened her mouth to speak. This is not a conversation, said the white rabbit. he disappeared. You were the third. Oh. Alice realized that she had left the golden key inside the tea tray room. But now that all of the rooms of the house had been so thoroughly explored, it was clear that her next adventure would take her outside. Okay. I think so too, Catherine. This is also one of my favorites, and it really kept flowing into new and interesting things. Let's go and see. Let's look at it from the top again and see if we see what we see. I really liked how it all came together. The golden key, the rooms. To sell, to buy. Okay, so we should retcon the Duchess's name back in somewhere, because we have it mentioned. So perhaps when the doll speaks, the doll should say, I am the Duchess. Talk, child, tell me your name and your business. Okay. Not ribbons, darling. Soup. Beautiful soup. I take it you've already had a taste? Okay, so she did not pay. She could not pay. The dryness is all part of the magic. That's what we know about magic now. Twigs in a bottle, twist into a knot, and then the game will change. The white rabbit will appear, bring you back to where you're supposed to be. Well, life is the fourth poetry. Catherine, I really like this a lot. I think we should have a picture also at the bottom. Hopefully it's not going to be like Joe holding aloft the tiny black wig from last week. Do you have a piece of the story that you think would be really nice if we illustrated it? If you have one, let me know, and I will use the one you like. The tea tray. Okay. Let's see. Where do we have the tea tray? Room up here. When she went into the room. Yes. Okay. Wow, this is actually, let's see what it gives us for this. I mean, it's maybe a little bit too much content, but I'd like to see what it gives us for the whole thing. Okay. Weird. I'm not a fan. Try it again. Oh. Oh. Oh wow. Okay. Is this Alice coming in from the outside and the tiny doll, Duchess doll, standing here inside the door? It's kind of cool. And these big locks. Yeah, I kind of like that. One more, and then that's probably enough for today. It's a little bit slow, the images today. Oh, this is the one. That's the Duchess. Can we see the bottle anywhere? I don't see the bottle, but this is definitely the one. Okay. Can we do a bonus character? Yes, we can do a bonus character of the Duchess. We gotta find the Duchess. Okay, we still have all of last week's Hardy Boys in here. So let's go. The Duchess. is a doll who is selling soup for big prices. She is quite judgmental and a little bit scary. Tiny doll, big prices. That's our Dutchie. Let's see. Treats people terribly. Expects to be treated very nicely. Judgmental, critical, and obsessive. I think this is extremely well fitting to our Duchess. Let's see what the other two are. Dramatic, overbearing, and manipulative. Indeed. Looks and acts threatening and tough, but is anything but. Or the third one is the Duchess. Thanks, character creator. Querulous queen who books secretaries, haunted by their past, literally. Okay, I like the second one because I think overbearing, dramatic, and manipulative is extremely fitting to our Duchess. Very good. Very, very good. So this is our thing for today. I'm gonna save what we got. It saves it as a docx file that we can use later on. And yeah, I wonder maybe if I can share it. How much can I share if I was to share? There's too much stuff, so we can't share it. But I will perhaps take some screenshots and share a little bit of this story online because I really enjoyed this one. So yeah, I will put it into snippets, Catherine, and pop it on the Twitter. And yeah, this is a nice one. Thanks so much for being here with me to make it. As always, you really bring the magic touch like a doll in a tiny room with a small bottle of magic juice. So thanks for being here, and I will chat to you soon. And yeah, for anyone else watching here or on the YouTube later, if you want to try any of these stuff out, just come and hang out with us. You know, it's all welcome, all input welcome. And if there's any things you'd like to see on a Friday Night LAIKA, just let us know and we'll be happy to oblige. Okay, you're a doll, indeed. Okay, bye folks. See you next time.